Happy Friday, Stampers and Paper Crafters. This is Facebook Live number 401. It's Friday, May 9th, 2025. My name is Joy Borwedge, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live in Burnsville, Minnesota, and I have been a demonstrator since August of 1999. You know what? That's a lot of catalogs. 1999. I have every catalog since I first learned of paper crafting, and that was in 1997. And that's when Stampin' Up! Did not have exclusive stamp sets, and they sold a lot of individual stamps. They didn't have their exclusive colors. So when Stampin' Up! Went exclusive with their colors and their combination, I decided to join, because getting a green cardstock and trying to find the ink pad that matches that was so hard, especially around Christmas time when you're doing a lot of reds and greens and markers, trying to get, we had these things that we called the juicy markers, and because they were kind of thick-tipped and they were like super wet, so we called them juicy. And then when Stampin' Up! Came exclusive, it was basically about all the coordination that, if you have something that is in Cherry Cobbler, you know that the cardstock, the ink pad, the re-inker, the marker, the blends, the designer series paper, it coordinates with each other. And Stampin' Up! Really took the time to get everything right. All right, so speaking of right, we have a new catalog, and I get to show you what the inside looks like. So I'm like super excited. It's a Friday night Facebook Live. And I'm going to put you down at the table in just a second. If you get motion sickness or anything like that, just look away. And I'll let you know when I'm done messing around with the camera. So hold on. So tonight, again, it's Friday. And, all right, now I'm going to turn it. Twins game is on. Twins have won 5 games in a row. So let's hope that they can keep that going. I am excited to show you the stamp set that we're using. It's a new stamp set. I've used it before, and because it was one of the ones, it was one of the ones that I got to pre-order, and I have really enjoyed using it. So I am putting light on the subject, and now this glass mat is still in the online store, and it is available. Now, this is the new catalog, but I'm going to talk about that in a second. So again, my name is Joy Borwedge. My Instagram page, it's Stampin' for Joy. Now, I did not have a chance yet to put the card number 400 on my Instagram page yet, but that's this one. So my Facebook Live has 30 days to live, and it's going to be put on my YouTube page. But so if you come across this picture on my Facebook Live and you're like, or on my Facebook page, and you're like, wow, that's a really cool card, let me see how she made that. Well, Facebook is discontinuing the lives after 30 days. So I am downloading them onto my YouTube page as well. So you still can search for it by the hashtag number 400. And so this was kind of in celebration of the... So that's the reason why it's not on my Instagram page yet. So I have to do that tonight after we're done with this live. So my online store is Carolyn. Hi, happy Friday, chica. It's nice to see you. Go back and watch Facebook Live number 400, my dear. This one turned out pretty cool. So stampinforjoy.stampinup.net is my online store so that you can purchase in my online store 24/7, you know, because if you need new cardstock, who tells you that you can't do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? All right. Then my email address is penguinz33@outlook.com. So if you don't have a demonstrator that you're working with, choose me. I'm fun sometimes, and I will have stamp camps and things like that that you'd be invited to. And then here is the catalog. So if you do not have one of these, you can let me know and I can get one mailed out to you as soon as it comes to my house, my apartment, I should say. All right, so the card that we're or I should say the suite that we're using is called Florals in Bloom Suite Collection. Now, yes, this card tonight is Facebook Live number 401. This was Facebook Live 400. So now, this card featured Sweet Blooms bundle, okay, out of the Florals in Bloom Suite Collection. And it also had the, let's see, the Everyday Arches dies. Those are now back in stock. It also featured the Designer Series paper out of this suite. And I decided to, I decided that this is my card that I decided to use the green hexagons on. And, one of my hexagons came off. I'm going to have to go find it. It's probably stuck on something. So the original card that I did, I used the in colors, or the 2025, 2027 in color flat pearls right here. And so, oh, duh. I didn't lose it. It's right there on the inside of the card. So that's the reason why I put it there, is because I wanted to see how the green looked with the greens. And so it kind of takes on, oh, and I also used the Pretty Floral Pretty Foils. It's an online exclusive. So, but I used the in-color dots on here, and then I used the green, let's see, they are called Shades of Green. They're on page 124. So now when the card is done, it sits. It's an easel card, so it sits like that. So whoever wins this card will be able to send it to somebody. And I haven't, like I said, I need to put that on my Instagram page. But tonight, we're going to actually do the other side. We're going to be using the Pretty Florals. Hi, Trisha. Welcome. And now we're going to be using the Pretty Florals and the dies. And let me show you what the dies do. The stamp set, right here, everything's highlighted, has a die that cuts it out. Everything else over here is like extra. So use all the colors are virtually using the in colors. So here is the new Darling Duckling. This flower has both Strawberry Slush and the Timid Tiger. And then we also have the background color in the Cloud Cover. I'm trying to remember names here. And then now this two-step stamping is in the colors, but then also has the Secret Sea ink. So it's not black. So it gives you the highlights of the flowers. So we're going to be using this tonight. And so I just wanted to give you the colors. All right. So again, this is on, and in this catalog, This whole suite has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. Stampin' Up! Really, hi Carolyn, welcome. So Stampin' Up! Really gave that one some great coverage. Now the card that, like I said, that we're using, we're going to be doing the pretty florals, and we're also going to be using the tag of thanks. Now this is the pretty florals bundle, so when you purchase the stamp set and the die set together, you save 10%. Now when you also purchase them in the suite collection, you still save that 10%. Now because this is a mega suite and it has 2 stamp sets, and I should say 2 bundles, you save 10% on both of those. So that's pretty cool. So we're using the Tag of Thanks bundle. Now this is an online exclusive. And the part that goes with that is the hole punch assortment. So this, we're going to be using this one tonight, which is a 1/8 circle. Whoops. I'm going to take my hat off. I keep hitting it. All right, so this is a 1/8 circle punch. So we're going to be using that in the card. We're also going to be using, I'm going to drop everything, gosh darn it, the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. Happens to be on page 109 in the current catalog. And then we're also going to be using the Nested Essentials dies. Now, I recently just got this die set. And so it's on page 107 in the annual catalog. I really, really, really love the banners. Now, this part right here wasn't really my favorite, but you know what? We're actually using it tonight's card because I like it now. So that's, annual catalog, online exclusives. So what else can you do, right? And we're also favoring the color. You guys want to see the card? I haven't shown that yet. So here we go. We are featuring Timid Tiger in this card. Now that is the Timid Tiger ink pad and the cardstock, as well as the flower here. Now I used the Color Coach for Timid Tiger, and it said that Lost Lagoon and Misty Moonlight are a compatible match. Hi Karen, welcome. So this is the card tonight, and so I'm going to show you how you can play with the embossing folder and kind of how you can get a little extra ink on that. And every time you do this, it's going to turn out a little bit differently just because the amount of pressure that you put on it. Okay, now we're also going to be using the adhesive-backed gems. That's on page 125 in the new catalog, as well as the gold and silver trim. Now, let's see here. That's on page 113 in the, I didn't put that on this one, because the only thing I have left is in this pack is gold. The other one I have silver. So we're going to be playing with that tonight. Okay, so let's get you the, now that we told you everything we're playing with, and I'm so excited for the hole punch, just because we don't have very many punches that are made for tags. Okay, so I'll move this out of the way. I'm just trying to make it so that I can find things after. Oh, and you know what? My friends and I are getting together to put on event number 40. So my friends and I have put together 40 in-person stamping events, and also virtual. So if you live in Minnesota or in the neighboring states and want to kind of get a car with some friends and make it a girls' weekend, come to Minnesota and hang out with us for a day. June 7th is Saturday, and we're going to be at the church, and we're going to be offering 16 different handmade cards. So what you'll do is you'll get a baggie, and like if it says number 5 in the top here, you get all the cards parts cut out, and you would just go to table number 5, pull everything out, and then put the card together by looking at the samples. Now, if you have questions, all of the demonstrators that put this event on are available to answer and help out with any questions. So be sure to check that out. You can register now, so it's open. So Saturday, June 7th. So I believe, let's see. Yeah, I was going to say, I believe that's the first Saturday of June. All right, so check that out. So here are the measurements for today's card. We need 2 pieces of Lost Lagoon. They're just scraps, so I didn't have any size. I have a piece of Basic White. That is a scrap. You know what? I'm going to squish in just a tad bit. All right, and just move that. Okay, there we go. A piece of the new in color Timid Tiger. It happens to be 1 inch by 4.5. And then we have a piece of Misty Moonlight. That is 4 1/4 by 2. We have a piece of Timid Tiger, 2.5 by 2. Another piece of Timid Tiger, 2 1/4 by 1.5. We have a piece of Basic 5 1/4 by 4. A piece of Basic White. It is 3.5 by 4. And this happens to be our card opening. So apartment, this is, we're going on our 2nd year, but the Wi-Fi connection is not the best. So sorry about that. I haven't done anything different in between that little blip there. So hopefully you're still with me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me still, because I want to make sure you're still there. Okay, so this is a piece of Misty Moonlight, and it happens to be 9 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I cut off, let's see here. I took the scored line and I lined it up at the 3 3/4, and then I chopped it off. So that's how I got that part. So there we go. So I'm just going to let this sit here for just a moment. And that way, if you wanted to come back in and say, you know what, that was a really cool card. I like the layout. Maybe you don't have the stamp set. Or maybe you don't have the dies yet, but you have something similar. Now, the nested what's it called? Nested Essential Dies. That's been around for a little while, and I was a little slow on the uptake on that one. But I just had to get it with this new catalog coming around. I told myself that if it wasn't retiring, that I was going to get it. So I did. And you could certainly use whatever die you have to coordinate with this. Now, the background, which happens to be the embossing folder called Forever Plaid 3D, that is in the annual catalog. Now, it's a big one, so you're going to want to have the big embossing stamp and cut emboss machine. But I like to let you come back in, get the measurements so that you can pause it and get your cardstock cut up and everything, and then craft along with me. All right, I'm going to take a drink. All right, and we're going to come back in and play. All right. So Carolyn, welcome back, my dear. Karen, if you're still on, are you going to go to the event in June? Registration is open. Okay, so what we need to do here is we need to take this one. We're going to do a lot of die cutting. So this one here, we're going to let the dies do a lot of the hard work for us. So I'm just going to pull that out. This leaf is going to go with these. So I'm just pulling out the paper so that when I get out the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I'm not going to move everything and lose it. So this piece goes with that one. We're actually going to do something we're going to do something with that one first. So we're not going to put that one away. So we're going to emboss that. This one we're going to actually stamp on. We're not going to do anything with this piece because this is just holding everything together, and we're going to stamp on this. Okay, so what I want to do is grab my Stampin' Pearson mat. We're just going to kind of move a little bit of things out of the way. Come on, I don't have fingernails. Actually, I am growing fingernails, but they're really dirty right now because I was playing in the dirt. But they're actually starting to grow. I'm going to jinx that, aren't I? Okay, so we're going to be, like I said, the color coach told me that Timid Tiger goes well with Misty Moonlight and Lost Lagoon. So we're going to take the word friend, and we're just going to lightly tap, tap, tap. And that is from the Tags of Thanks. And we're going to put that right in the center there. Allow that ink to transfer. And we have, okay, something is stuck here. So, like I don't know if it was a fuzzy or what. So we're just going to clean it with my Simply Chamois. Now I have my Simply Chamois cut in 4s. So that way when I have stamp camps or stamping events, then I'm able to have a chamois at everybody's table. Okay, so again, we're just going to go right in the center. And like I said, this is a piece of scrap paper. So that turned out really nice. So we're going to put that up there because we're going to put it over here. Because we're going to die cut that with the nested essential dies. And it's going to have that really nice edging around it. Okay, so like I said before, we're going to do anything with this one. We're going to take, I'm going to close my ink pad up because that is an invitation to, like, you know, dump something in it. All right, we'll clean that off in just a moment. We're going to take Timid Tiger and we're going to use the small blending brush. We're just going to kind of tap, 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 and we're just going to kind of get different splotches. We're doing the splotches on purpose, okay? We're giving it texture. So if you could see, tone on tone, okay? So that's what we want because we're doing that. Oh, it may not be you, Carolyn. My computer or my phone said bad connection, and I stood there for like 30, well, maybe 3 seconds, and it, you know, didn't do anything. So I was like, so it's probably not you, it's probably me. You know how when I lived in the basement and we had those phone calls that we would constantly get hung up on? Yeah, the internet connection here at the apartment is not the best. Okay, so on the inside of our card, that's this piece right here, we're going to take this stamp and we're going to use the Lost Lagoon ink pad. And we're going to take that and just tap, tap, tap. And we're going to line that right up in the corner here and allow that ink to transfer. I just love Lost Lagoon. I think it is a gorgeous color. Now, most of the stamping happens to be on the inside of the card, but we're playing with the dies as well. So now what we're going to do with the flowers is, this is two-step stamping. And so one of your images is kind of like the, what do you call it? The, words are hard. This piece is the background, so it's solid. There we go. And this part's detailed. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually stamp the detailed first, okay? And I find it easier with a lot of the detailed stamps. That's two-step stamping. Details help you line up your solid a lot easier. We're going to line that, just let that sit for a second, and there we go. Perfect placement. Okay, now we're going to take the solid image in the same color, and we're going to do a stamp off, which means first generation right there. Then we're going to take a finger dauber, and it really, yes, those were the days. 3 or 4 phone calls between each of us, calling back other. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, so what you're doing is you're taking the finger dauber on your finger, and you're actually going to take the darker, you're going to just pounce on your image with a darker color down at the bottom, because we're going to get some shading on there, okay? And then if you want to, you can huff on it. So you're re-wetting it with your ink. Now the little points that are right there and right there and right there, those are the ones that I'm lining up to help me line up my flowers the best. And I'm allowing that to sit. And isn't that pretty? You get that texture there. Okay, so let me show you the points on the flowers, because you could probably see it better. So I'm going to close that up. And then what I do with my finger dauber is I actually just rinse it until it runs clear. Just like I do my brushes. I only have 6 big ones and 6 little ones, but what I do is I rinse it until it runs clear, and then I let it sit on a paper towel overnight like this, and it is perfect to use the next day. I mean, I have never used all 6 of my brushes at the same time, of the same size. So, but let me show you, maybe, nope, not on that one. How about this one? Nope, that's worse. Okay, maybe this way. Okay. I'm going to do a piece of scrap paper, because I'm going to touch it. I'm going to lay this down, so then you could see it maybe. Okay. Nope. So, I'm going to use my People Poker on my Take Your Pick tool. But there's an indent right there, like a little V. And there is one right there. And there's one right there. And so I pick the V's right here, right there, and right there. And I line up those 3 V's, and it helps me get that perfect placement on my cardstock. Okay, so now that we are done with the People Poker, we're going to put the lid back on, and we're going to rinse off. We're going to wash. No, we're not. We're going to do the greeting that goes on the inside of the card that came from Tags of Thanks. It's in the online store, and it's going to say friend, and then it's going to say, I appreciate you. I mean, how many of you appreciate your friends? Now, somebody's going to get a chance to win this card, and you're going to be able to tell them that. Okay, now all our photopolymer is used up, and we're going to clean them off now. Now I'm going to move that out of the way, and we're going to clean that off because I don't like to leave the ink on my photopolymer, because as you can tell with this one, okay, certain colors leave it to be, you could still see. So I've been using Timid Tiger and Strawberry Slush, and this one's been using greens. So, I mean, you could tell that some of the colors actually leave a little bit of color on the photopolymer. It doesn't come off, but you could still see through it, so that's okay. I mean, that means it's used, it's well loved, and you like the pinks or the reds or the blues. So, oh wow, Twins are winning 2-0 against the Giants, just in case anybody wanted to know. Okay, so let me show you what we're going to do with the Forever Plaid. So I'm going to move my ink pads. Oops, sorry, I did not mean to jar the camera on that. I'm done with our stamping, so we're going to get rid of the Stampin' Pearson mat, and we're going to move everything off the table so that we can get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine on here. All right, so the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine comes with the platforms that you need to do all types of things. Now, platform number 1 gives you instructions here. So when you're going to use your dies, it tells you you need platform number 1, which is what you're reading right here. Then it gives you number 2, and so that is the adapter plate. And then it tells you that cutting plate number 3. And my cutting plate, I like to keep my bottom cutting plate, the cutting one, and then I like to keep the top one kind of clear so that I can see through it. Well, you know, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so then now we're going to put all our images that we're just going to cut out. Now this one has straight lines, so we're going to put it in at an angle, just because that way it's not going to put any unnecessary pressure on the rollers. And then we're going to come in and we're going to cut a leaf, and then we're going to cut. Now we're using the flower outline for this one, and we're doing the base with this one, and then we're going to cut our word friend, and it has just enough space. And I'm going to grab a new post-it note, because I grab my post-it notes whenever I need one and it's not as sticky, then I just grab a new one. All right, so that one, I do not want it to move, so that one gets it. And this one, there's just a small space on each side, so I don't wish to have that move, and that's why I put a post-it note on it. Okay, so cutting plate number 2, or the second cutting plate of number 3 is on top, and we're just rolling that through. And any cracking, sorry for the movement of the table, any cracking sounds, that is normal. Okay, so then now we just pull all that up, and this is our image. Now you may not see any of the shading that we put on that outline piece, but it's there. And so I'm just going to throw that away and then put that on my magnetic sheet. So with the Glass Mat Studio comes the silicone mat, and I just put my magnetic sheet on top. So then that way it holds my dies when I am done with it. And then that way I put them back and I don't get a chance to lose them. So if a cat comes up on my table while I'm stamping, or say I had to go get something to drink, and a cat comes up on the table and it doesn't know that I don't want it to move off the table unnecessarily, So I kind of protect my dies. All right, so this one we have to do once more. And here is our flower. Now, I believe it's probably a rose. It could be a peony. All right, so we're done with that one. And I'm going to take this piece and just grab all those little bits and put them in my little trash can across the way. And we're going to grab the other. Okay, there it is. We're going to grab this one. Like I said, we needed 2 leaves. And quickly put that through. Okay. Okay, and it comes out so nicely. Okay, so we're done actually with some of this. Oops, that one goes on the floor. Anything that hits the floor, I immediately pick it up because that could be a cat toy. So we're going to leave platform number 1, take everything else off, and then we are going to use the Forever Plaid. And now what I'm going to do is let's see, this is, I'm going to line this up on this line right here, okay? There's a black line. So when you see the Stampin' Up! Logo, that is the top of the embossing plate. And I'm actually going to do this upside down. I'm lining it up with that because these lines on this plate are kind of wonky, so it makes it look like it's not necessarily, they're not perfectly straight. And so you could see that they kind of are fluid, so they're a little bit erratic. So I'm going to hold this and flip this up so that I know that once I take these off, this is the impressed side. So we have the embossed side and we have the debossed side. So this is the embossed side. Then we're going to take plate number 4, plate number 4, and we're going to put that right on top. That's the only thing you need when you have a 3D embossing folder. Okay, so now we are done embossing. So we're going to take this off and we're going to leave that flat up, and same thing with this one. We're going to take this off our lid and we're going to leave that flat up. Okay, so we're done with that embossing folder, and so we're going to put that away. Oops. In my craft room, I have an embossing station. All right, and I'm going to move these, because I can reuse these until the sticky part ends. So I'm going to put that on my plate. And then what we're going to do with this one is we're going to take the Timid Tiger folder, embossing, the embossed piece, okay? And you could see that there is nice texture on it. And so we're just going to take that and just kind of lightly go over it. Now you can push it down a little bit and make sure that some of the color gets a little bit on the background so that it's not just on the raised parts. That's what I was looking at. And then now right here, it looks like there's a lot of ink down at that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad and I'm going to take, let's see, what do I got? I'm going to take some scrap and I'm just going to kind of, well, actually, just take it and just kind of go like that. And I'm going to grab a paper towel because I don't want any excess ink to pool onto something else. So we're just going to blot that. And it might get on your fingers. It did not. When I was making this card, it did. So I was kind of trying not to do that. All right, so it's pretty dry. All right. Okay, good. We're good. And so then now we're going to put that together. And you can do this with any ink pad. All right, so then now I'm going to take my silicone mat, and because this is an embossed piece of cardstock, we're going to put adhesive all the way around. And so that way, the raised edges don't hinder your cardstock from staying where you want it. All right, so that is going to go right there. And you're going to get a nice border all the way around. And it still might be a little inky, so I'm just going to burnish on the back side. And then we're going to put, now this is the front side. So again, we're going to just put nice, we're going to put some good adhesive on that. And what we're doing is we're just going to put that right kind of in the center. You can mix this up however you want it. And we're just using that for placement. That's the reason why I didn't glue it down yet. And so we're going to go in and snip that off. And then now that it's flipped over, we can take this and adhere it to the inside of the card. All right. See, doesn't that look kind of cool? Okay, so let's put our flower together. Okay. Look at how that stuck. Okay. So we have bits and pieces of our card. And so with the leaves, I'm going to take my bone folder and we're just going to curl that up a little bit. And it'll get smushed in the envelope, but it will, once it gets out of that envelope, it will be released and free and it will stick on. So then, now I want to make sure that the center has, excuse me, has a darker center where the little lines are. So it kind of gives it that highlighted look on the embossed part. So this is the marker that is the in colors. Now they are located in the online store. So the markers when you're shopping, okay, at the search bar, that is your friend. If you punch in the word glimmer, all the glimmer paper that shows up from the online exclusives, from the catalog, and if there is, say, like embellishments that you're looking for, type in the word loose, and anything that is known as a loose embellishment will pop up as well. And then also, if you are looking for anything that is, say, timid tiger, all you have to do is type in the word timid, and whatever you need shows up. So, I mean, I love that search bar. Okay, so I am actually going to take a little bit, oops, I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive, and I'm just going to put it on the center of that. But I really love that search bar because you don't necessarily need a number. You could just type it in, and then all you have to do is hit enter, and it will give it to you. Okay, so I mean, how cool is that, right? Okay, so we're done with that. Then we're going to add some adhesive to the part of our leaf. And so we're going to go like this. And then we're going to go like that. Now that's a little bit too much. I want a little bit less. There we go. There we go. And it's still kind of curly. Okay. And then now we're going to put this on dimensionals. And let's see where we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to do it a little bit over to the left. And so we could put the dimensionals kind of in the center. And I'm going to grab my take your pick tool. Yeah, let's just put my lid somewhere where I don't lose it. I'm going to put that one there. And there. And that one's sticky, so we have the right side. And there we go. So we're making sure that we're hitting the nested essentials. And so we're going to just slightly angle that, grab those backings, and then throw that away. And now, because this is, we can get rid of this now. We're done. So now that we have the silicone mat, if anything was showing, that way it wouldn't stick to the glass mat. Okay, and then we're going to actually put that on dimensionals on here. And so we know that we're going to put about right there. So you don't want dimensionals going over this line right here. So we just have it upside down. And so that's going to kind of help us know the placement for where we're going to put our dimensionals. So we could go right there and right there. And then we could just put one at the end there. So again, stab and grab those backings and then just throw them away. Okay, so then now we're going to put that kind of lower, okay, and then we're going to take our friend and then we're going to use the tag punch and we're going to put, I'm going to use a black pen, and I'm just going to make a dot because I want to make sure that I am going to see through this hole here where I'm punching the hole. So then that way I'm not accidentally just going off the center of the card. So we'll just throw that little away, and now we have a hole for our tag. And all of these just close and then push, and then that way they stay secure. Okay, so then now we are going to use a little bit of, you know how when you make bows and you cut off the extra and you're worried, you know, that you have too much and then you end up cutting a lot off. Use those pieces. I don't have any. Use those pieces for things like this. And so what we're going to do is just put that through the hole. And then we're going to put we're not going to do it, we're just going to do it lightly because we don't want to tear that hole because it's, you know, kind of small. And then we're going to put our tails through that hole. Oops. Both tails. Not just one, but both. And we're going to pull gently. I don't think it wants to go gently. There we go. Go back in your hole. And behave. Yes, I talk to ribbon all the time when it's not behaving. Okay, there we go. Yay! Come on, let's go. Pull and don't yank too hard, like I said. You want to have it. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now that is going to go right down here. But I kind of forgot to do something, and so luckily this is on just in the center. And so we're just going to take that up, and there we go. I forgot that we are going to see, now there's adhesive on the back side, so we're okay with that. We're going to take the Wink of Stella and we're going to do the whole thing, and this is why you need a craft mat, because if you accidentally adhere something and you shouldn't have, and then you take it apart, you can have it sit on your craft mat and then it can go back to where it's supposed to go just fine. So now, seeing as how that's a little wet, I'm going to put that adhesive back there again, grab that, and stick that right there. Okay, so then now, isn't that cool? And this kind of sticks up a little bit, so it gives it that dimension. And then now we are going to put a little bit of adhesive. Don't lay it down in the Wink of Stella. We're just going to use a baby wipe later and clean that off, or I can rinse it underneath the sink. And we're going to put a little bit of adhesive right there in the corner. And we're going to kind of come over here and hit that. And then we're going to clip that. There we go. Just a tiny bit of gold. That goes in the trash. And then, because we have gold ribbon, we're going to use the adhesive-backed gold metallic gems. And that's going to come over here. I love these, as you can tell. I'm going to take my people poker and put the lid back on. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, good. Thank you very much. Glad to see you. All right, so grab this one here, and we're going to put that right in the white space, and then we're going to grab two. All right, we're going to actually have to go grab the other pack because I ran out. And so what I like to do is when I get new adhesives, embellishments, boy, I haven't had dinner yet. I was waiting for my husband to come home because I only wanted to turn the oven on once today. We're going to have quesadillas. So we're going to grab 2 of the little ones, and I love the putty part on my take your pick tool to grab that, and we're going to put one right there, and then we're going to grab the other one, and we're going to create a triangle with the gold, and then we're going to finish it up. Now, like I said, these adhesive-backed gems are on page 125 in the annual catalog. Now, I have marked everything of mine, whether they're an online exclusive or what page. So then that way, if you missed, say, the beginning of what I put into the card, you see everything, with a label on it. Okay, so that needs to stay down a little bit more. There we go. I like that. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now that's the front of the card. Let's go back in and use the Wink of Stella. Now I'm going to grab my scrap paper and trying not to do too much movement on here because we don't want it to bleed, but in between the colors I want to wipe it off, so then that way we're not mixing colors because it reactivates the ink. And there we go. And, somebody's going to win this card, so I want it to turn out nice. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lighter color and I'm going to push down into the darker color because I still want the light to be light, if you know what I'm saying or understand what I'm saying. I don't want the light to lose its lightness. I want you to be able to see that we actually took the sponge dauber onto our stamped image and gave it a different feel by giving it two-tone. So what do you think of the card? So I showed you a different way to use your background folder, embossing folder. So this is the card that comes from the new Sweet collection called Florals in Bloom. And like I said at the beginning of the card, this is the other Sweet that came, or other part of the Sweet collection that is in that Sweet. So it's a big one because it has designer series paper that coordinates with it, 2 bundles, embellishments. All right, so if you want to get a chance to win this card that I demonstrated tonight, all you have to do is a thumbs up or a heart. That gets your name entered. If you leave a comment, all you have to do is say hi. Now, if you're new to my page, please tell me where you're from, because that's kind of cool to see where people are located from. And that gets you entered into the drawing. And then if you, Stacy, hi! You're coming at the end, my dear, so you'll have to go back and see the replay if you want. And then if you want to help me out by sharing this with your friends on your timeline. You will get entered 2 times. And that way, there might be a paper crafter that's on your timeline that maybe hasn't touched their crafting supplies in a long time. So do that and get your name entered twice. So you have 4 different ways to win this card. So thank you very much for hanging out with me on a Friday evening and seeing some new products, creating a fun card. And thank you very much, Stacy. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I shall be back on Sunday. And who knows what card will do. Thank you. Take care and happy stamping.